All right, we're going live there. And we're recording.
Oh.
Okay. So there we are. We are up there. We're going to share this with the
Facebook community world.
Facebook. See if we can
Yeah. That's dope. Vader shirt looking good. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, that guy, he's a fan of Star Wars. Actually, I am a fan of Star Wars. My favorite Star Wars is Return or Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, I was gonna say Return. Revenge chopped off and became Darth Vader, right?
Yeah. At least so.
And Han Solo with the iconic, "You were the chosen one. You were supposed to be the best of us."
Was that the first one that you?
Oh, the first Star Wars I ever seen? The
Yeah.
first Star Wars I ever seen is I think the first Star Wars everybody's seen where Luke takes off, but I didn't know what the fuck was going on. But it was the most amazing thing I ever saw in my life. Yeah. That was the first Star Wars I ever seen. Okay. And then the one that I fell in love with was which was the one that had Darth Maul?
That was the very first one, right? With
and he fought the guy who played Ra's al Ghul in Batman. Darth Maul is not dead. In another cartoon animated series, he has like robot legs and he's still killing people. He's not
really?
Yeah, he's not dead. He never forced something. I don't know. It's like Clone Wars or something like that. And they have and it follows the story. Now, like, okay, because right now I am in love with The Mandalorian. Did you see The Mandalorian?
I have not watched The Mandalorian. No, I have not watched The Mandalorian.
When The Mandalorian comes back in September, that's probably one of the greatest shows on TV. But The Mandalorian story arc is after everything. If you go and look on the website, it shows you that everyone's dead. Yoda's dead. Everyone's gone. All the freaking Jedi people are damn near dead. And it's just after that Clone War thingy. And Darth Maul is in there, supposedly. I have never watched it, but that's what people are saying. If you share it on Facebook, I can share it on Facebook too.
Well, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so those of you, we have one person watching on YouTube.
Hello.
Hey. This is my good friend Brandon Jones.
I probably smell like a dog. Hey, how you doing?
Come here, Allie.
How you doing?
And this is my German Shepherd, Allie.
All right. I probably smell. You probably smell. I know.
Here,
I was just playing with her before I came. Oh my gosh. I know. I probably smell like a dog. I know. You
she just want to say hello.
I know. She probably smells my dog. What's up? You smell good too. Right. I appreciate you. No.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to. Facebook is acting weird.
If you share the Facebook, I'm already on your page. I'll just refresh and then we do the little thing there.
I don't know, it's trying to make me create a room instead of just
Hi, how are you? Did you just come from a walk?
She's probably been out chasing her tail. She just loves to run, jump.
Beautiful.
She gets
beautiful.
Overly rambunctious sometimes.
She could probably.
What kind of dog do you have?
Blue nose pit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, beautiful dog. I just took her on her first. She just did her first 10-mile hike. It was 5 miles up, 5 miles down. And my dog is a house dog, and she impressed me. I was just like, oh man, look at London go. Beautiful, love her to death. It was a funny thing. Before you got on my Facebook, everybody thought I was beating her because I made a stat, and it was a joke about how I would beat my dog, and everyone assumed I was beating my dog, and people were threatening to call like animal control.
Oh, people are crazy.
I was like,
well, you see those people that like the one lady recently she was doing a thing where she was fake boxing with her dog. I mean, she's not actually hitting the dog. She's got gloves on, and she's just kind of, and the dog's, going back and forth. I mean, it's the same as if you're just, open hand, you're just
right,
hitting its muzzle, and it's just part of playing. So she was doing that with boxing gloves, and people just
went sick, right? Yeah.
had an
I went and made a
absolute
joke.
fit.
I was like, I forgot what I said, but it was a joke, and it had to do with me beating my dog. And people were like, you're sick. Like, everything's not a joke. Like, how could you do? And you know what it was? Because I used to put up pictures of her, so I feel like people was falling in love with her. So you know what I'm saying. So at that point, I stopped putting up pictures. Everyone's like, why you don't post more pictures of your dog? I'm like, yeah, right. So you guys can keep threatening that you're gonna call animal control on me. Like, I don't need that. I don't need that. So now, out of sight, out of mind. I don't post nothing about her. No one says shit. You see her when you see her, and you're like, oh man, Brandon does have a dog. Like, I'm like that. When people don't see, they don't ask. They don't ask any questions. If they don't see you doing anything or anything like that, they do say, how's your little comedy going? But I feel like they just trying to keep tabs to see if I've gotten rich. Have you met Kevin Hart yet? Like,
you're starting to get famous. Okay, I'll start liking everything.
Right. I'll start sharing all your. This is the funny one. I recently made a video when I got my haircut. I don't know if you've seen it, and I revealed my bald spot. It got like 106 likes. It got like a bunch of shares. Here goes people coming in my inbox. Yo, that video would have went viral on TikTok. You need to make a TikTok. The same person telling me I need to make a TikTok didn't even share my video on Facebook. like you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
it can still go viral.
I got it has the energy right now to go viral. You give it a couple shares, but it's like, from the outside looking in, people just want to feel like they're helping. So I was like, hey man, you know what? I might look at making a TikTok and have my face splattered on a third party foreign social media platform where they're not even letting government officials have it on their phone right now in America. Some serious stuff with TikTok. People don't know what's going on in the world.
Yeah, it can get TikTok. I mean, it's owned by the Chinese government.
Yeah.
And if you don't think they're not using it to spy on you, you're crazy.
They have a CIA just like we have a CIA.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I just found out today that the CIA really doesn't even act under a lot of different branches of government. They kind of stand alone in their own little like.
Oh yeah, they kind of. Have you ever?
I just really started getting into it like yesterday.
Yeah, they basically became their own entity, and
they don't operate under any. Yeah,
they have a lot of things going on that is so secret that even the president is not allowed to know about it.
Yeah,
they have all this black ops funding, and from what I hear, also they're involved in so many different businesses secretly that they're making their own money, and it's all off book. Like they don't report it to anybody. It's just their money.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to pay taxes on it.
Nope.
And it's all from basically drugs and all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
And it just comes from the idea was to protect the American interest. We would go and basically be involved in everybody else's business, so we knew what they were up to, and we could kind of swing them our way.
Right.
But then it got to the point where the CIA didn't like what the president was doing, so the CIA just kind of went off on its own.
Yeah.
They're doing whatever they want,
and
they're letting their governments they'll tell them what they want them to know. But it's
you go on their website.
It's scary.
Yeah, you go. You go on their website, and a real prominent guy on YouTube, Young Pharaoh, he read it out. They literally put on their website that their influence in books, movies, political parties, music, entertainment, pretty much all of Hollywood. They even have a disclaimer that if you're shooting a movie and you want authentic, like, parts of the movie to be in there, like maybe it's something about aliens, maybe it's something about government cover-ups, they will allow you to not only come and film on their headquarters, but they will give you enough information to make your movie more real than false. Like, they will help you between the lines. Like, if it's anything, movies, music, they literally contact us because we want to know what the hell you know, so we can tell you what's really going on. They also have a saying too. I forgot what it was. It wasn't George Soros. It was somebody, but one of them said, once we know that the people of America is believing our lies, then we know that we've taken over a certain part of, America. Like, we know that we have either the Democrats or the Republicans that's going to always listen to us, and they know that they have a strong influence on a certain party. Yeah, they do. They do.
On both.
Yeah,
because it's in their interest. If you keep everybody fighting with each other, they're not paying attention to what's actually going on, and so they'll stoke the flames on both sides, just to keep it going. An example is gay marriage. For years that was a hot button issue. Every year, every time there was an election cycle, that was the big thing. The right wing hates gay people. They won't let them be married, and blah blah blah. Yeah, when the Democrats had the chance to just make it legal, they never did.
Right. Damn it.
Because they don't want to.
Yeah.
Because it was how they made money off of the gay population, and gays have a lot of money. Surprisingly enough. So they have all this money, and they kept giving money to them. Well, once that was over, when the Supreme Court came and said, "Look, you can't discriminate against marriage. If they want to be married, they can be married. It's over." The Democrat DNC was more pissed than anything, because they gave up their ticket.
Right.
That was their hot.
That was their bread and butter.
And I think a lot of people on the other side were like, okay, now it's just over, so we can just move on. And if you go back and look at that point, that's when the debate kind of just really shifted into all these other weird areas. For so long, it was just sort of the one issue that we could all agree to hate each other over. And then once it was over, just all hell broke loose. That's when that's when they had to start going for, women's, who gives you what bathroom and all that kind of stuff. And it just opened up this panacea of craziness. And that was the kind of thing that the CIA has always been kind of controlling. And they lost. I think they were pissed that they lost that one, because like I said,
so their bread and butter.
Keep us at each other.
Keep
us at each other. And the other side, they're all evil and stupid. No, they're evil and stupid. And as long as we keep fighting like that,
right,
we're not paying attention to what the CIA is actually doing or what the deep state's doing. Did
you hear how Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, a bunch of other billionaires have increased over 120% of their revenue during this coronavirus? Of course.
Look, you're sitting at home, you need stuff, the stores are closed, or it's half stupid to get to a store because you got to wait in line. So you go online, and who's the biggest marketplace online?
Facebook has their own market now.
Amazon, and then of course the only stores that are left open are a few grocery stores, but Walmart and Target.
Imagine if they did Peapod like Stop and Shop and delivered to people's houses. That's coming. You know how Stop and Shop does the Peapod?
That's expanded.
Yeah, that's expanded a lot.
Well, I know. I've got a son who works for Walmart in Utah, and he's one of the guys that goes and collects people. They order online. He goes and gets their stuff and brings it out to their car. And they've said that's. They hired on like almost doubled their employment for the entire store. Had to double to just bring in people. All you do is just go and shop for other people, and you wait for them to show up. You go load it into their car, and then you walk back in and pick up somebody else's order and go shop. That's what he does all day. Shop. That kind of stuff is going. And Walmart's making a ton of money. Everybody's sitting at home, so Facebook's making a ton of money.
Right.
Everybody was already rich got richer, and everybody who was poor got a lot poorer.
Yeah, especially losing their jobs and stuff. You kidding me? Yeah.
That's why the whole thing, when they said we're shutting everything down, they said, "Oh, well, it'll be 2 weeks."
Right.
Yeah, I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
At all.
Nah.
I was like, 2 weeks. No, it's not going to be 2 weeks.
Right. How long did you think it was going to be? I you know what? Honestly, I didn't have a time frame on how long.
I kind of figured it would go until about the end of June.
End of June.
So I think I was hoping it would stop sooner, which I think it is. I think with all this protesting, people realize that being outside is not going to spread the disease.
No, it's not. That's what. And if you're not realizing that right now, it's like, hello.
Everybody. I mean, they all have said sunlight kills it. The heat kills it.
Mhm.
Being outside is probably the safest place to be.
Right.
And yet that's what they're saying. Oh, we're closing the beaches and closing the trails and all that kind of stuff. It was like, this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to be doing this. And then when people were protesting, oh, the people who are protesting are all going to get sick and they're selfish and they're going to spread the disease and make it worse. And now with all these protests, we've kind of just forgotten that entirely.
It's almost like the news is not even talking about it anymore. All they're talking about is the killing with the George Floyd and all that other stuff. It's like it's not even being talked about anymore. But I think whoever, because personally, in my belief, when this coronavirus thing kicked off, I had to go and do my little conspiracy theory research.
Yeah.
And, I don't like to call. I kind of label everything conspiracy theory because it's not. And as I'm looking into it, and you start to find out about, they're calling these people the deep state with Fauci and Bill Gates and Hillary Clinton and all these other big names and political parties and stuff, and how they're trying to basically bring in what sounds like a new world order. And it's always around election year that we have stuff like this going down. It's everything with even all the way to anthrax and all that other stuff. It's always around when we're about to get a new, when possibly it could be a new president and stuff like this starts to go down. So I kind of don't. I'm not going to say, because the coronavirus is very real. I'm just not going to say that the way that they say we contacted, even the CDC weeks ago just came out and reported that it doesn't stay on surfaces as long as they said to stay on surfaces. Like, it's not that they don't know. It's just that they don't want to give out the wrong information and then someone finds out, hey, that's not how it's
well, if you go, whatever it is that you want to believe, you can go back to the CDC and you can find them saying that.
Right.
Well, if you want to say it stays on for surfaces for 2 weeks at a time and you have to stay home and you have to wear a face mask or you're going to spread it, all of that has been said by the CDC.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, also said by the CDC is it doesn't stay on surfaces very long. It's killed by heat and face masks are worthless.
Right.
It's all there.
Yeah.
And it's a political game that they're playing, so they can always plausible deniability. Well, we said this. Well, we said, research has shown this and that. And it's just absolutely, you can't trust anything they're saying because they're saying whatever you want to say.
No. Yeah.
Whatever you want to support, you can find support for it from the CDC or the WHO, whatever. It's
and then what you got to think is too, and just like you just said, which is really important, they say not even what we want to hear, but what whoever's in whoever's in the back pockets of these guys, because you got to understand everything that news reporters, places like CDC, World Health Organization, they are funded by people that aren't okay. This is why Trump had to end the funding, because he didn't want to be associated with the World Health Organization and the CDC if he found out that they were helping also China or hiding information that China could have that could have been vital to us. They thought that they were all working together. He said they were giving them what was the word he used? Not Chinese vibes. He said something. They're giving me real something vibes. I forgot the word he used. So he stopped funding them. They also didn't lose any money. Not only did they try to go and undermine that and get celebrities to come out and start donating, they have Dr. Fauci, who's the second biggest, I think, funder for the CDC, and Bill Gates, who also is a funder, pumping money into them right now. That's how they're still able to give out all these other things and say all these other things without the American people and their tax dollars helping them, fund all the other vaccinations and crazy things they're gonna push. I want to find this video here where they basically show places like these and the people that own them. It's pretty impressive when you find out that these people aren't really giving us the information that's good for us. They're just giving the information because the person that's paying their bills is telling them, you have to say this or we're going to cut your funding.
Yeah, well, Bill Gates is other than the United States, is the biggest supplier of cash to the World Health Organization.
Yeah, which is crazy.
So he's telling them what to tell everybody.
Mhm.
And so if you look, initially they said, "Oh, this is not a big deal. It's a little bit of a virus. No worse than the flu. It will only affect you if you've already got health conditions, blah, blah, blah. Nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. It's all right."
Right.
And I thought it was funny because they were saying that up until the end of June or January. They didn't go, the World Health Organization did not go into Wuhan until about February 7th. So after that week, they went and started investigating what was going on in China.
Mm-hmm.
And it was during that time period that they said, okay, maybe we should start taking some precautions. But they never said shut everything down. They just said, well, this might be a little bit more contagious than what we thought it was.
Right.
But if you go and look, everybody's saying, oh, Trump didn't react. He let it go. He started reacting almost immediately once this thing came to the United States. That's when he shut down air travel with China.
Yeah, and it was Fauci who was saying don't shut down just yet. Yeah. It was Fauci saying keep the borders and things open, don't shut it down just yet. And Trump was trying to get it shut down early. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, Trump was like, no, we're shutting it down.
Yeah.
Then he shut down. And then he realized, it was realized that China had let all international travel continue while they shut down domestic. Mm-hmm. So they confined it within China, mm-hmm. but they let all the international travel go. That's why it was funny because Iran, the two of the biggest hotspots originally was Iran and Italy. Iran and Italy are in cahoots with China on a whole bunch of other issues. Mm-hmm. So they had large contingencies of people in Wuhan for conferences. So when they flew back, almost everybody on the plane was infected. So they get back to their cities and they infect it. And it's like, well, why are those two in particular? Well, it's because they got a large contingency from Wuhan, mm-hmm. came to their countries and they started spreading it. And Italy, this is funny. I don't know if you saw this, but when the virus started spreading, and they were calling it the Wuhan virus at first, mm-hmm. the Chinese virus. And Italy's government didn't want it to become racial. So they actually were promoting and telling everybody in Italy to go and hug people from China. They had people standing on corners. They had Chinese national people from China who were from China, Chinese people standing on corners with signs saying, show the world that Italy's not racist. And they were going up and hugging Chinese people who had just come from Wuhan.
What?
Yeah,
that's insane. No, that's what my friend told me about.
So
that.
They were going. This was going on, and then they realized. Then everybody started getting sick, and so then they pulled back and said, "Oh well, we got a social distance." It went on for about a week or two, where they were really pushing this. We're not racist, and go and hug Chinese people. I mean, the worst thing you could possibly do. And that's why it spread like wildfire in Italy. And that's one thing they just completely stopped talking about. Mm-hmm. Everybody just ignored that thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was going on. And then, of course, Iran, it was going crazy.
So you must have caught a whiff of that when it just, because I didn't hear that one. Wow.
Well, yeah, because I remember when the whole thing, because initially everybody was saying it's just like the flu, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Calling it the Chinese thing, the flu is racist, and once Trump, I mean, this is the thing. Once Trump said, "Hey, we're stopping international travel from China," everybody was like, "Oh, he's racist, homophobic, blah, 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 and xenophobic, and this is horrible. This is terrible. This is I can't believe he's doing this. This is just racist, pure racism." It was during that time period that Italy was doing the whole hug, we're not racist, and they were kind of doing it in response to Trump shutting down international travel. Meanwhile, because of that, promoting the hugging and everything, that's when it exploded in Italy. And it was after it started there going crazy and going fast that everybody else started thinking, okay, maybe there's more to this.
But when you're talking a lot, trust me, I was about to grab my water. When you're talking, you start to get that phlegm starts to build up. You start to get that cotton mouth. But no, that's crazy. I didn't know that until you just told me that.
Yeah.
They said a lot of the test kits were contaminated also. A lot of test kits that they were finding in America for coronavirus were contaminated with coronavirus on them. So, they're sticking these swabs up people's noses.
They're giving them
and they're actually giving them.
See, that's one of the other things that bothered me was they're saying, oh, it's so easy to contract. We can, just basically touching something after somebody else touch it, you're going to get it. Yet, in order to get a good enough sample to tell if you have it, they got to basically, scrape the back end of your skull. I mean, you see this? It was like this thing goes, you got to get enough sample to be able to prove that you have COVID. It's like, and yet they're telling us, oh, it's real easy to. It doesn't. I'm like, this does not compute.
No,
I don't get sense. What you're going on here.
Right. Why up my nose?
Yeah, and why so deep and why so much has to be collected in order for you to even figure out if they have it? If it's so easy to do, you should be able to just just lick something and say, oh yeah, you've obviously got.
I couldn't let someone stick. I'm just thinking. Can you think? I hate. Before I got my haircut, when my nose hairs touch my nose, I hate that. I could not. Oh my god, I could not imagine someone sticking that tube all the way up my nose, and then me being okay with that after. Like you talk about being sodomized. Like you're sodomizing my face with that. Oh my gosh, I wouldn't be able to. Like, hey Brandon, what did you do today? Oh, I walked into a freaking hospital and they stuck a tube up my nose. Once I seen those tests, I was like, yeah, I'm just avoiding all hospitals. But hopefully. They're talking about mandating the vaccine. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think Trump's with the shits on mandating vaccines.
He said that he's not going to. He's going to.
I don't think he's doing that. But Hillary Clinton and all those guys are like pro-vaccination.
If Hillary Clinton had been president during all this, we would have already had inoculated, already gotten a shot that was completely worthless just to have a shot. And then they would say, well, the problem is we need a different shot. we need a series of shots.
Did you hear that she posted on her Twitter that she's thinking about re-entering the race?
Well, they've got to do something about Biden because he's lost
it. Yeah. And then Biden drops out. He probably went on the Breakfast Club and said that just to drop out.
Well, I mean, the whole rape charges, like it's not just one. I mean, it's like there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And even a lot of the Secret Service people have had. They say they kind of have. They have somebody who's designated to basically keep women away from him because he grabs all of them. I mean, it's not just like one of them said that what you see on camera is him being tamed. That's him behaving himself. That's on his best behavior. When he's over there, he's just like, sniffing their hair and rubbing their shoulders, and it's like, holy freaking crap! It's got to be weird for a family, that they're meeting the vice president, and they're in the White House getting a photo op done, and here he is just basically molesting their 12-year-old daughter, and they're just What? How do you stop him?
Right, creepy Joe.
Oh, so I do think that I don't think he's going to be the nominee because. They're starting to turn on him.
Yeah.
And I think what they're going to do. I think the ticket's going to be Hillary and possibly Michelle Obama.
You think so?
I think they kind of want a Clinton Obama ticket.
Oh man.
There's people in the DNC that think that that's the winner.
Oh my God. They put up Michelle Obama in her doom, man.
You're not a fan of
it's not even a fan. It's people don't understand. most of these candidates that run for president, they don't have enough money to campaign past shit. When does the campaign start? They don't. This is why you get people like Bernie Sanders that drops out so early, because they already can project where the votes and things are gonna go. And it's like, how much money are we gonna be spending in between that? And it's like, if it's so much money and we're not gonna win, we might as well drop out the race now before we freaking go broke. And it's like, okay, you got your people that people want to win, like Obama's. I guess you could say Bush, kind of, not really, because I felt like McRomney and all that stuff was like a set up too. But
I think that's becoming more prevalent, is that Romney was a setup. It was weird because I was supporting Romney, and it just, the whole campaign, because it was like every chance he had to give a knockout punch to Obama, he wouldn't do it, and he wouldn't ever defend anything that he said. You know, like when he made that mistake, he made that weird comment at one of the fundraisers where he said, well, you know, basically those people aren't going to vote for me anyway. Right. Poor people aren't going to, but there's just Democrat voters, and kind of the way he made it sound was like he was being disparaging.
It came off wrong.
Yeah. And instead of going out and saying, hey, look, you know, I apologize, I didn't mean to say that, but what I'm trying to say is that I know that there are a certain element of people who are not going to vote for me regardless of what I have to say, because they're dyed-in-the-wool blue Democrats. And it's pointless for me to try to go after them as voters, because it's a waste of my time and money to do so.
Right, makes sense.
He could have said that.
Yeah.
Instead, he said nothing, and it made it worse. Because then it made it sound like he just hates poor people.
No answer, still an answer.
You know, and he just never defended himself. He never fought back. And he just he was just a placeholder, is what it felt like. He just it made it easy for Obama to win. And I think that's where, with Trump is, I told people, I had my reservations about Trump to begin with, because I know he's been back and forth. He's been Democrat. He's supported Democrats. He's been friends with the Clintons. He's been friends with the Obamas. You know, he's gone back and forth politically. But in New York, you kind of have to, you know.
Right.
Well, he was coming along. He was saying a lot of the things you wanted to hear, but it was like, I just didn't feel like I could trust him. I'm more libertarian anyway. So I just, and our candidate back then was an idiot. So, Gary Johnson?
It sounds very familiar. What year was that?
So he was Gary Johnson. He was the libertarian. This is what frustrates me about libertarians, is that the worst group of people to get anything accomplished are libertarians, because all they want to do is fight about who's more libertarian than the other person. It's the dumbest thing. It's like, this is pointless. Instead of saying, hey, look, we have a chance of actually growing as a party and actually making a change in the way the government's run. And instead, they just want to you know, piss and moan at each other because you're not as much for freedom as I am. It's like, but we have to get in office first.
Before we start,
we actually have to start winning some elections and before we can have any kind of an influence on anything. Right. But anyway, so Gary Johnson is the film. And here it is. You got Clinton, you got Trump, you got basically two candidates that everybody's pissed off about. Which, for what it's worth, that's going to be the way it is. That's the way it's always been. You know, because you have to make the other person look like a complete stupid idiot or an evil whoremonger. So that's the way it always is. But anyway, but here was a chance where people would actually look at a third-party candidate. And the person that we selected was Gary Johnson. And he bumbled every opportunity he had. I mean, his first big news organizations were actually interviewing the Libertarian. Usually they don't acknowledge Libertarian at all. And if he had played his cards right, he probably could have gotten into the debates. I mean, the Libertarian Party was starting to pick up some steam. And if he had really kind of held his own, he could have gotten on the debate stage with Trump and Clinton.
How did he fuck himself?
He had an interview, and they asked him, well, what do you think about the situation in Aleppo, which is, of course, Syria? You know, the infighting going on with Syria, and the Russians are involved, and ISIS is involved, and Iran's involved, and Israel's involved, and we're involved, and you know, and they're bombing. They were bombing civilians, and the ISIS was saying it's the government, the Syrian government's doing it. The Syrian government's like, no, ISIS is doing it. And all this fighting was going on, and that's when all that the refugees were heading into Europe, was because of what was going on in Aleppo.
Right.
He didn't know anything about it. He's like, oh, what is that? And immediately he was discredited as, I mean, it was just over. It was just it was over. Whatever chance we had as a Libertarian Party to actually make some inroads and get seen and get heard, it was over with right there. Because it was like, oh, okay, well, obviously he's not a serious candidate because he hasn't done any research about anything.
Right.
You know, and he could have even just easily said, look, as a Libertarian, we don't want to be involved in other people's wars. We don't want to be involved. But he didn't even know what Aleppo was to even be able to make that argument.
Right.
So it was just so frustrating.
Right. Oh, that sucks. You guys had a chance to sit at the table.
Yeah. Just,
and argue your points.
And say, here, this is who we are. This is what we're about. We're about you having more freedom. The government's involved in things that it shouldn't be involved in. Right. That was my always argument about, like, you know, gay marriage was, why is the government involved in marriage at all? Right.
Yeah.
Why are they deciding?
Yeah.
Marriage was always a religious
thing.
It was always run by the church.
Well, it's a business now.
Yeah.
That's why they're
so now the government's involved. But nobody's making that argument, you know, and that's the frustrating thing about politics now is that, you know, if you say, based on whatever your position on anything is, they assume that everything else that you believe. You know, it's like, well, like this thing with George Floyd. Everybody always automatically assumes that if you support the police, then you are
a problem.
You're a right-wing homophobe, is, you know, you're a Republican, and you're a horrible, rotten, miserable, rotten human being, and that you want all black people to die.
Right.
And it's like, that's you don't have to take that position about every issue.
No, you don't.
You know, I mean, I look, the issue isn't about race, especially with George Floyd. It's not about race. It's about them having enough power that they can kill their own citizens without repercussions, because the system is rigged that they can just say, well, he had some underlying health issues. You know, he's probably dead before they even. In fact, they probably kept him alive a couple of. He was about ready to die while he was sitting in his car, and they just came and, you know, saved his life for a couple extra minutes.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's kind of how, and the government has the power to do that.
Yeah, they do, which is stupid. And they also have the power to not only do that, but, you know, when we talked about the CIA and how they don't really act under any different things of government, any branches of government really that they report to, they let these guys go in there and create these false flag environments and these false flag narratives and stories to kind of incite what I feel like what's going on right now. A lot of people, and I say this all the time because I watch videos on YouTube that got, like, you know, things that we're talking about right now, current events, anything, conspiracy theories. You watch these videos, they don't have a lot of views like that. They're not going viral as far as the millions. You might get 100,000.
They don't fit the algorithm.
Right. But then you have things that, you know, people in my, you know, genre of life, like Tory Lanez is live on Instagram, and, like, you know, what's a popular show? People watching Power and all these shows on television, and they're not informing and keeping up with, like, the current events in the world. So when something like this happens, it kind of throws them for a loop, because everything that you're used to doing on TV is now talking about George Floyd. Everything's about cop killings. Everything's about this. Yeah. Now your brain's rewiring to, like, oh man, like, what the hell? Where's my power? Where's my, like, what's going on? Now you're angry. You're regular. You keep, and now that you're angry, you don't even notice that you're angry that your stuff is off. Now that you're a little frustrated, and now you're throwing this in your face at the same time too. That it's like, okay, another cop killing with a black guy. Oh my gosh, this is like the third one already this year. 2020. We've been in the house. A lot of things are going on. They are working on people's psyche. They are using people. They are weaponizing us almost against ourselves, and they've already done it.
And they know all the hot button issues. Race is one. I mean, you know, I grew up in the 70s as a kid, 80s, and at that point in time, I remember. I grew up in Utah, so there weren't a lot of black people in Utah. My first experience with black people was the Harlem Globetrotters, and I thought they were the coolest thing in the
world. Wow, that's dope, though.
That was me. I was just like, "This is awesome."
They came to Utah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you know, they had run cartoons. They were, and they would have like a special like every 3 months on TV, and I just loved them when I was a kid. And then, of course, you watch football and all these black guys in there, and they're cool. Like Earl Campbell's one of my favorites of all time. Just a cool dude. And so I never, you know, growing up, the idea of someone's skin color making them other than just
a person.
Other than, you know, it's like somebody has red hair or blonde hair. And black skin. It never registered as that you would equate them as being something other than just a human being, judging them for who they were. You know what I mean? And I think most of my generation, we felt that way. We didn't really feel. I mean, there were places that were some racial tensions, and there was like, you know, Idaho. There's a few like white supremacist groups that would have their own little encampments, you know, basically a little cults and stuff like that. But it was like they were idiots. Nobody cared about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it seemed like sometime during the 90s, all of a sudden, they really started pushing the racist narrative. They really started pushing that, white people are keeping the black man down, all that kind of stuff. And I'm going, some of the wealthiest people in the world right now, you know, Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Nobody's keeping them down.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then you get looking at it. I think people are coming to realize this, that the CIA was involved.
Right.
Was that, you know, when the civil rights marches, you know, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and all that started, when all that was really having a groundswell, that's when the CIA got involved. That's why they were monitoring everybody. They were, you know, had profiles on Martin Luther King Jr.,
Malcolm X, all those guys.
Yeah, and they were creating backstories to bring them down. You know, they had all these weird narratives that they were trying to push to make. Oh, these guys they're in bed with the communists and all that kind of weird nonsense.
Yeah.
So they got involved, and then when they saw that basically the civil rights movement was going to be successful, because the Republicans were all behind on it, and the Republicans had the numbers in the House and the Senate to be able to pass it. And then Johnson, who fought it forever, he finally realized, well, if I pass it, we can basically just make the black population become Democrats, which is what happened. Because he got out there and said, "Oh, I'm doing this," and he's the Democrat, so everybody decided to become Democrats.
Right.
And it was at that moment that I believe the CIA got involved. That's when they started just basically destroying the black community.
Yeah.
They, you know, with welfare reform, well, you can get welfare, but if you're married, we can't give it to you.
Right.
So they started separating the families, and then, you know, if you look at Planned Parenthood, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where their numbers are at.
Right.
You look at any predominantly black community, some of them will have 2 Planned Parenthoods.
Right.
I mean, it's insane.
It's crazy, yeah.
You know, and so there was this, and then drugs. The CIA was bringing drugs and making, you know, because they're making the schools of lesser quality, so it's harder for them to get out of the ghetto. You know, I don't like to use that term, but
it is what it is.
You know, but yeah, I mean, it's like this. concentrated effort
I
of
call it the hood.
destroying the black population by basically getting them to fight amongst themselves and keep them poor.
Yeah.
And keep them voting for the
Democrats and needing on the Democrats and always trying to go to them for assistance and
we have to
depending
get
on
them. So we can get our welfare checks and all.
That's
our
why I
affirmative
said
action. It's like
I think to see real change in the black community this year, we need to hold our vote because no Democrat or Republican or even we need to look into libertarians because there needs to be a new party that's really going to represent us.
I think it's a great idea.
Right, and what we want. And it's not like no false promises. I mean, we had a black president, and he didn't go in there and do anything. And it's crazy that you keep bringing up gay marriage because he went in there and he signed the gay marriage law, and he made gay marriage legal across almost 50 states. It's not legal in every state, but he did sign a gay marriage law. He signed a blue lives protection law for cops. You know what I'm saying? He did all these laws. He signed, gave individuals and people like it's funny. You know how he signed the immigration laws so that some Mexicans could cross the border looking like you and still be considered a child? What's the name of that law? Obama passed it. This is why Trump goes into office and says we need to put up walls because they're literally smuggling Mexicans that look like me and you, grown men, saying their kids coming over to America and using them for God knows what. I had someone that told me this, and they live in California. They'll literally pay you $1,000 a body if you go and pick somebody up 3 hours from a spot in California and just bring them somewhere and drop them off. They'll literally give you $1,200 just to do this. And these guys are just walking through the gates like no other problem. This is why Trump really wanted to close the borders off. But he was saying it around a time where we were going through shit with Mexico and stuff like that. So it looked really bad. But the media, which is controlled by these people, have a way to spin things and make it look like that. You know what I'm saying? This is why I wanted to bring it up because like Fox, CNN, all these people like philanthropists like Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci and all these people that have a lot of money, they end up slipping in some of their cash. It's like, yo, we don't want you reporting anything good about Trump. You know what I'm saying? We don't want you putting anything, especially around political time too. Like you said, it's their job to try to make their opponent look as bad as possible. With anything they can get on them. If it's bad propaganda, good propaganda, it doesn't really matter. But I say all that to go back to blacks because you got to say we're not really political savvy. We don't really know beyond the Democratic Party what's going on in the political world because we don't really give it. A lot of my friends don't really care that much as far as it takes like a P. Diddy or like a T.I. to go out and say, yeah, vote for this guy, or LeBron James, someone in a higher light than a normal person like me to really sway. Exactly. But I feel like they put these people in place to sway your opinions because sometimes there is a Republican who might be saying something, even though like I still believe that none of them is for us. Sometimes there is other parties, like not really a Bernie Sanders, but what's the Chinese guy? He dropped out again too. Yeah, he dropped out again too. It was a lot of things that he had and a lot of policies that he wanted to push for that not only was just good for black people, but America in general. I mean, he had a lot of things. He wanted to give Americans like $2,000 every other month or something like that, and all this other crazy stuff. But I mean, money. It's just a lot of things. I feel like we're in the dark because we don't use our spare time to arm ourselves with knowledge and what's going on in the world. We're too busy worrying about what's trendy and music videos and stuff like that and sports and stuff like that.
Do you think maybe part of that is that the culture has always been like, well, as long as you vote Democrats, they'll take care of us.
Right. And a lot
of us whatever the Democrats are going with will be that. And I think that there's a lot of validity to that because I know a lot of people who are black who I've been friends with over the years. When we sit and we talk about politics on individual issues, they agree with me on almost everything. Mm-hmm. But when I say you realize that you're more libertarian or you're more conservative than you are a Democrat. They'll almost get violent.
They don't even know.
There's no way. I can never be a conservative. That's crazy. It's like. I think the reason you don't think you're conservative is because you've been told that conservatives are racist and they're homophobes. Right. All this nonsense. But when I think a lot of people are starting to come around, especially because of Obama, because it's like he did some things, but really not enough.
Not enough.
And then here comes Trump. Everybody, he's a worthless son of a gun. He's KKK and all this nonsense.
Yeah.
He comes along, all of a sudden, the
unemployment's at its lowest rate.
It's been ever for the black community. And for everybody.
For everybody.
All of a sudden, he's pushing economic development. In communities
prison
that
reform.
never had before. Prison reform, huge. I mean,
huge. Obama didn't even touch on that.
Which, oh my goodness, the laws that were passed in the 90s, the idea is we're going to make the streets safer. What they should have just called it was a young black man imprisonment reform, because that's exactly what happened. Was that they just started throwing everybody in jail for minor crap, you know, and it frustrates me all the time because you'll see like, you know, the white guy, basically possession, two different people, same age, same basic grades, everything, are caught with the same amount of drugs. And the one gets off with, well, we'll give you a suspended sentence, just don't get in trouble again. And then the black guy, they throw him in jail for 4 years. Destroy his life. This guy, as long as he keeps his nose clean, it doesn't even go on his record. This guy's destroyed for life. And it just pisses me off because part of that was that whole, we're going to make the streets safer. And all it really was they had this whole prison, this private prison system. Are you familiar with that? We privatized the prisons. And now we made it so that it was a for-profit venture. But the only way they make money is if they have a lot of prisoners. And so you had that one guy, I think, where was he? Mississippi, a judge, who was just throwing people in jail for the stupidest things because he was getting a kickback from the prison system, the private prison system, for every person he put in jail. He was getting like $5,000 from it every year from the. It was insane. Like, how in the hell can you have anything like that happen? And it just pisses me off. And then here comes along Trump, and he just starts eliminating all of that.
And Kim Kardashian.
Yes, Kim Kardashian.
No one's giving her credit, but that's what it is. You know, sometimes the unlikely person that you don't expect to save you is the one that's going to save you. And I feel like I don't really buy into politics. I don't think any side is really for Black America. But
and you know what? You are so right, but you also have to consider that politics really isn't good for anybody.
No, it isn't. We should govern ourselves.
Absolutely. That was the idea behind the whole thing. That was behind the revolution, was like, we don't need somebody on the other side of the world who doesn't care about us making decisions about our lives. We want to make the decisions about our lives, give us our freedom. And that's why we fought and had a war and won our independence, was so that we had that ability. And over the years, they keep taking more and more of that away from us.
And almost to the point where they're taking our liberties and our freedoms, even off the Declaration of Independence. And there's another thing about that, too, that you just said that I wanted to make towards the Declaration of Independence. I just found out recently, and it's like, I need to inform myself with this kind of stuff more, because if our government, for what any reason, was on the BS, let's say, and we felt as if we wanted to overthrow them, we could. But no one seems to even know that all you need is it says on the Declaration of Independence that 150 people have enough power in their country to govern themselves and start their own, I forgot what it is.
Sovereign.
Yes.
Sovereign government.
The sovereign government. They can also use that sovereign government to overthrow our own main government, only if there's like corruption, not civil unrest. It was other words. It's on the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, it basically says that we are an independent nation and our government is not.
It's not. They're not.
They are there to serve us, and as long as they serve us, we'll allow them. But if we decide that they are no longer
in the interest of the people, we
can overthrow them and start over. Absolutely. In fact, there's a group now that nobody talks about. There's a convention of states, which is the states have the right to get together and overturn anything done by the federal government. You only have to get 3/4 of the states to come together, They can meet and decide, hey, we don't like whatever the federal government is doing, and they can eliminate it. I mean, it's sort of like, we have the checks and balances system. We have the three branches that check each other. But there's a fourth group.
Yeah, us. Yeah. We don't know our own power
and
sometimes.
We're the ones who are actually in charge.
Yeah.
That's why it's frustrating with this, all these lockdowns and these governors who are like, this is the way it is. You don't have any rights under this
Right,
thing.
right.
No, we never surrender our rights, ever, at any given point in time.
No.
There's not a damn thing that you could pass. And even though they've passed laws that say, well, emergency powers that basically suspend your rights, you can't.
Right.
You can pass it and you can enforce it,
Right.
but it's wrong.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day.
When it comes right down to it, we have the Constitution, we have the Bill of Rights, which trump everything that you throw at it. And just because you're getting away with it doesn't mean that it's right.
Right.
Doesn't mean that it's legal.
Yeah.
It just means you have a system that's in your favor, not ours.
This is why Trump, not to cut you off, Trump signed an executive bill to stop places like Facebook, social media, and all that, to stop them from considering what's fake news and what's not news. Yeah. He's saying it's illegal almost how they can change the narrative and pretty much not even show you what's really going on. So he's really signing the bill that's going on. He just signed it like 2 days ago.
Order.
Executive order, yeah.
Well, and it's funny because people say, well, he can't just make laws. No, he can't, because it's all covered under commerce, and he has control over commerce. He can make rules and regulations over any of the various branches, different organizations, because they work at his will. They're his things, and if he wants to change a regulation, he can. Yeah, and it's funny because people are like, "Oh, he's just trying to get back at him for the disliking his tweet." Yeah, no, and it's like, no, because a lot of voices have been shut down on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook because they're not fitting the narrative being pushed by larger corporations.
Same
and CIA.
thing with the media and everything else.
They're falling in lockstep with whatever the news organizations are doing, and they're just squashing everything. And they're just saying, well, it's just algorithm. It's just what people prefer is what they get to see. And it's like,
no, that's not it. That's not it. They already had there's a whistleblower right now. He's in he's in police protection. He's from Google. He's actually come out with a book. The guy makes over like $200,000 a year. He was on YouTube just telling everything. They even got this thing coming out, and I'm not pretty sure if I'm going to explain this right. It's called Google DNA. What Google DNA is going to do is it's going to take Rodney's DNA, it's going to take my DNA, and it's going to start to suggest things to us like, hey, Rodney, your cholesterol is a little high. Maybe you should go on a walk today. Hey, Rodney, did you check your blood temperature? Did you check your blood levels today? Looks like you got a little bit, too much toxicity levels in this and that. Google DNA is going to go as far as to even being able to let you know what times you should sleep, when you should eat, all types of stuff. Look into this. It's called Google DNA. They also got one going on for Apple as well, because I don't know how Apple and Google do whatever the hell they do, but it's called Google DNA. They've been taking our information and everything like that. So next time you're on Facebook and you see, hey, cholesterol a little too high, is like, how the hell does this thing know my cholesterol is high? Like, how they got this program coming out. It's called Google DNA, and there's a lot of things like that we don't even know that places like Facebook, Instagram, they've been taking our information for years. And what have they been doing? This is what Mark Zuckerberg was on trial for. What have you been doing with America's information for years? They've been uploading it to an AI database online. People need to know this stuff. You need to go online and search and know that they're going to be making machines basically that's going to be corresponding to how you live and telling you what to do, how to live your life. They're already coming out with refrigerators that literally will lock on you. You see these refrigerators they got?
I've heard about it, yeah.
They have refrigerators that will literally lock you out and not let you eat. That's fucking insane. That's flipping. And the refrigerator, not only will it lock you out, it'll be like, hey, we noticed you didn't have any eggs. So we went and ordered you some eggs today.
Right?
It's like, what the hell? They're coming to you right now. Like, what? So your house is going to be ordering food for you. Your fridge is going to be telling you when and not to eat. Your washing machine is going to be it's going to be like Smart House. You ever saw that Disney movie, Smart House? You ever saw that? Oh my God. Yeah. If you got some time, it's an old Disney flick. It's called Smart House. And the whole house eventually became so powerful, it made its own like woman, and she wanted to be the new mother to their family. The lady used to play in Love and Marriage. What's her name? She was the wife.
Katie Seagal.
Yeah. She played in Futurama too as that lady. Yeah. Okay, yes. She's in Smart House, and yeah, the guy, he's like a really like good scientist or whatever, and he creates like the house of the future, and like it's done in everybody's needs or whatever, and the house gets so smart and gets so jealous of people that own kind of body, but it's not physical, and the house becomes like so jealous that it wants to become this guy's wife. It's a Disney movie, but it has a lot of like subliminal messaging in it. Yeah, it's called Smart House.
Well, you know, it's funny because you know, part of the CIA directives is that they want to introduce people to different ideas. In that way, when it actually happens,
your brain's desensitized.
You've already accepted it.
Yeah.
And well, it was funny because I remember years ago, Target did this thing where they could tell, because of the algorithms based on people's shopping habits, they could tell once a woman was pregnant.
What?
And the reason they wanted to know this was because diapers are one of the biggest markup items that they make money off of. Baby formula, diapers, and because, you know, when you have a kid, you just buy everything you could think of for the kid.
Yeah.
And so they could figure out based on their buying habits when that woman was pregnant, and they would start sending them coupons and things for when they're pregnant. It was uncanny. It was like a 90% success rate knowing when you were pregnant.
Yeah, that's insane.
And then over the years, they've just gotten even better at it. You know, I remember driving around with my wife one time, and I had read about this thing where it was going to get to the point where they could hear your conversations on your phone with whatever you were talking about.
Oh yeah.
They could hear you, and the computers were listening. When they hit keywords, then they would start sending you information about those things.
Yeah.
I said, well, like example, if we just start talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken, you're interested in Kentucky Fried Chicken, all of a sudden you're going to start getting ads for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And we're driving in our car. We weren't on our phones. Our phones were in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But we get home and she gets on Facebook, and the first thing pops up is Kentucky Fried Chicken ads and Popeye's chicken. She's like, all of a sudden these chicken ads are up. And I said, I told you.
Yeah.
I'm serious. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And and I finally figured out how to turn it off on Google. But have you ever done that thing where you go shopping and all of a sudden, you know, while you're at the store, all of a sudden popping up, hey, how's your experience in AutoZone today? Did you find everything you needed? Is there anything else that you would like?
That's what Google DNA is going to be.
Yeah. And now they're going to do that with your heart rate. They can already tell your all kinds of things about
it. The apps now where even on Samsung, I got Samsung Health. Sometimes it's like, test your blood level, test your heart rate. It wants to get your stuff, so then it knows like, hey, you didn't take this many steps today. Your cholesterol is going to go up. Like Google and Samsung are all partnering. Where is it? It's a standard app. I don't think I can take it off my phone. It's called Samsung
that's the
Health.
thing, is they're making it so you can't opt out of these things.
You listen. Nowadays, you can't even take the battery. You can't even take the battery out of your phone. It's crazy what. Yeah, there it is. Samsung Health. Not only does it, and what I like about this app is, the privacy notice has been updated. And this is what we always do with privacy notices. We don't ever read them. I like about this app, it marks my steps. And you know me, I'm a fitness guy. So I like to mark my steps and look at stuff, but it does everything. Your calories, your miles. It wants to know your food how did you sleep, your weight, your heart rate, your stress levels,
Yeah.
all that, your glass of water, all this stuff it takes and compiles, and then eventually it starts sending you, hey, you should have more protein today, or you're low on carbs.
And you know, that's the scary thing about it, is that it's you can see the benefit of being able to do this. Because I got my smartwatch, and it works because I got Samsung as well, and I use that app all the time for keeping my track everything.
Yeah.
And as long as it's just my information for me, I'm cool with it.
But they send it out to Google though.
But yeah, now they're collecting that information.
Yeah.
So now, it's funny because I'm a diabetic, and I was going to get an app that would allow me to put my blood sugar on my phone so I can keep track of it. Yeah. And I have avoided that because one of the things I had started thinking about doing it on my phone, and as soon as I did, all of a sudden I started getting all these notices about diabetes and wanting to send me all this, all these drugs.
Yeah,
hey, try this drug, and I'm like,
that's weird.
I'm fine. I'm taking control of it through diet and exercise. I don't want to stick my body with all these weird drugs, but as soon as I put in there that I was checking my blood sugar levels, all of a sudden, boom, I start getting hit with all these different drug offers, and I'm like, this is insane.
Some of these apps, they already have your phone number, so they send your number out to third-party companies too. Sometimes you're like, how you Scam Likely? You want to know how Scam Likely got your number? That app you just downloaded gave Scam Likely your number. Now they're calling you, trying to sell you the same stuff. And you're like, how the hell did you get my number? It's because you downloaded an app.
Yes, I just looked up the spot price for silver one day. And for the next 2 weeks, I was getting phone calls every day from people trying to sell me gold and silver. I'm like, I'm fine. I know. I don't. Sure, we're going to send you a prospectus. No, I already owned silver. I just want to know how much it was worth. Calm down.
Right. That is insane. Yeah, we're moving into the age of AI, man. Eventually, it's going to be real. They're already talking. Jeff Bezos was talking about in wake of the coronavirus, hurrying up, moving his. He has a fleet of new, Amazon trucks and things. These trucks have the droids, and the droids go into the truck, take your package, fly over.
Yeah, a guy just drives around through the neighborhood, and the droids go out and deliver it.
And the droid drops it off, and he can control it from the truck. He doesn't have to leave the truck. Crazy. Amazon also, even at our job, they told us Amazon Prime is looking into getting their first 18-wheel unmanned truck on the road right now while people's not driving. It's an unmanned 18-wheeler. They can put it in there. No one drives it. It goes one to one spot and back.
That was one thing that I was thinking about with this whole shutdown thing, is that here the virus was not, from the beginning, was not that deadly.
No.
I mean, they're trying to make it sound like it's this horrible thing, but when you compare it to all the other things that people die from, it's not even in the top 10. I mean, it's still almost as bad as the seasonal flu kills anyway. In fact, most of the people who died from COVID were actually people who just had the flu,
underlying,
but would have died from the flu anyway. So it's like the numbers are so
staggered and messed up.
Staggered.
You never
so
know.
Here, this thing is not as deadly as they said. What is it? 0.03% of the population is affected by this. This is
right.
You have a better shot at being killed driving to the store than being killed by COVID.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But all these things that they have wanted to be able to see how it works, now they're able to do it. I mean, look at how much. Curious. All of a sudden, all these road projects. Have you noticed that?
Like, you mean like working on lights and on poles and stuff?
Just everything. Road work, putting up all these road construction projects.
That's the 5G.
All of a sudden, bam, all of this thing is happening. The 5G.
Yeah, right.
Have you gone back and forth on that?
Yeah, I kind of didn't want to touch on it because I know, but what were you going to say?
Well, see, it's funny because, as soon as COVID started coming out, there was the whole thing of 5G's causing COVID and all this stuff. And I was watching all those videos, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. Now, my background, I was a radio operator in the Marine Corps, and I used to have to work with microwave signals and different things.
Okay, so you know.
And there were radios back then that you knew you did not stand in front of that signal because it would basically fry you.
Yeah.
And that was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And
now we got them on us all the time.
Yeah, and now we come along, and it's funny because they say, oh, the radiation levels never get that high. It's crazy. But then you see all these people going and taking out, devices that are reading the radiation, and it's like it's like severe. It's like, and I'm looking at this thing going, hey, I used to use these things back in the Marine Corps, and when it got to this level, they said turn it off. Something's wrong.
Right.
And here these levels are above that.
Yeah.
And this is just out in the open.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's something to this.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be and this is the other thing, is it may not be, they always do this kind of weird rollout thing where they roll it out slowly and they don't put it at full power.
Mm-mm.
They wait. That way it's out for a year or so, and then you're going, there's nothing wrong. We've had it for a year. And that's when they go full power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that motherfucker.
Yeah, we're just in second gear right now.
Right.
This is fine.
Right.
We can take any corner at this speed. What's the problem?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's exactly how it goes. Did you share? Is that on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know you shared.
Yeah, we're on Facebook now. I'm trying to get the Mevo going. Well, I couldn't get the live from YouTube to connect with Facebook.
Right. Look at Mo Green and everybody. I didn't even know that.
Oh, we got some comments here.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of comments and stuff. You gotta.
Yeah, most of the people are just agreeing with us.
Oh, Mo Green, no, Mo Green, that's my guy. Let me turn it down over here on the phone. Mo Green, he's in on it.
Oh, he's 5G guy.
No, Mo Green, he's just like, oh, he's
a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. His mind is not confined into the rules of this has to be anything, this way. Yeah.
That's what I like about Mo.
Right. Mo Green, that's my guy right
If you're out there, look up Mo Green on Facebook. Funny fellow.
Right.
Ever tell you my Mo Green story?
No, what is your Mo Green story?
It's for you, Mo.
All right.
He does these he does Gig Salad or Gig Masters, one of those things.
Yeah.
And he got a job on there doing clean comedy.
He told me about this. I think he told me about this.
Okay. So he does clean comedy. And I do some jokes where I talk about having marital relations with my wife.
Right.
And I talk about it in a way that it's not very graphic, but if you're an adult, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're a kid, you have no idea what.
Right.
It's just. But I'm talking about adult issues, but in a way that it's not graphic.
It's not too graphic. Yeah.
I can usually most people think of it as more like a PG thing. Well, he calls me up one day. He says, "Hey, so I got this gig. I got to do 45 minutes clean, but at the time he only had maybe 15 minutes.
Right.
So he's like, well, how can I rewrite some of my jokes so that they're, so they're clean? And I go, well, which one is specific? And it was the one about tossing someone's salad. and I'm just going, well, you're not going to make that clean.
There's no clean way to say that,
the cleanest way you could say is toss someone's salad, and everybody already knows what you're talking about.
Right.
And it was just so funny to me because I was just like, there's nothing you could do to make that. Just write some new jokes.
Right.
Yeah,
just write something else, but you can't. That's something you cannot do that. You cannot do that. What up, Justin, man? See, now I got some of my friends coming up in here. I just shared it on my Facebook. That's funny. That's hilarious.
I was like, hey, Mo, I'll tell you what you should do. Just have me go do the gig.
Let me get paid. Yeah. Right. Don't hurt yourself. I heard he told me about Gig Masters and how they was finding shows for him and stuff like that.
He's good. He's one of the guys that You know, the one thing you've been doing comedy with 2 years?
Me and Mo been doing comedy for the same
Oh,
time.
okay.
Yeah, about 6-7 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're cool. So the one thing about comedy is everybody thinks, well, as long as I'm funny, I'll get booked.
Right.
Not true at all. In fact, a lot of times, if you are too funny, nobody wants to book you because nobody wants to follow you.
Right.
They don't want you on their show.
Right.
So but part of it is not just being funny; it's also the business part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing how to get yourself out there, how to brand yourself, how to sell yourself, how to get yourself gigs, how to build an audience. And that's one thing I always appreciate about Mo Green right out the gate.
Yeah.
He started pushing it. He's like, you know, I've only got 10 minutes of material, but he was acting like he was a headliner.
Yeah.
You know, God bless him. You know what I mean? He's just like, I'm doing it.
That confidence. You know, you gotta love that.
It's like I was like, this is cool.
Great
I like
guy,
this dude.
He's a great guy. How many shows have you done with Mo?
Just a handful.
Yeah. I can't remember the first time I actually seen you, and because the first time I saw you, you did the thing that you do when you go on stage and you're just like. And I'm just like, yes, like that is what I want. And no, you don't understand. When I first saw you go up there and just mumble your way through that set, and I probably was in tears. I was like, that is where I want to be as a comedian, where it's not what you're saying with words, but you are just a funny person. Like you are just that shit was genius to me. Like everybody, like the second to last person, and everybody were like saying their jokes, and you just went up there and was like, and the fucking room went crazy. I was like, yo, who is this guy? He's a G. I forgot what show it was when I first seen you. And I had added you that night, and I've been on your friends list ever since. Like every time you share something, I like share it or something. Like especially like your videos with comedy and stuff. I see it and it's like I share because that shit's hilarious. But that right there, I don't see a lot of people in Connecticut with that style. It's like,
well, it's sort of you know, it used to. I mean, it's kind of an old school throwback because it used to be that the comedian, it wasn't just about telling jokes; it was about being the joke.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of what I'm going for. Is just I want to just destroy everybody's expectations. Yeah. My goal is to not be the comic. Is to not for the audience not to think of me as a comedian, but just like I want them to go. Is there something? Is this guy okay? Was this part of the show?
Right.
You know, is this because my goal is to not I want to do everything wrong is my goal. You know, because every comic wants to get up there and right off the bat, you know, hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Hey, you know, start ripping on the eye. And I do that too. I've done that. But I was doing a show one time and I felt horrible. I've been sick all week. I really didn't want to do the gig because I just did not feel up to par.
Yeah.
You know, and you get that weird, you know, when you're hopped up on NyQuil or DayQuil and you kind of got that weird brain fog going on, and you're like
you can't remember your shit.
You're just trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
And I was just like, screw it, because I used to be very high energy and just like everybody else.
Right.
There and do my jokes.
And then life hits.
And I'm doing this gig, and I was just like, screw it. And I just went up there, and I just acted like I didn't know what was going on. Mm-hmm. I fumbled with the microphone. I would do things, especially, you know, if you do things that are not very symmetrical. Even a person doesn't have OCD, it bothers them. Right. Especially on stage. Because
you're trying to be so.
Because you want to be center, and everybody expects you to take the microphone and hold it a certain way and do just they have these expectations, and so I'm going to go up there and just destroy every expectation they ever had about a comic.
Right.
So I meander up there. I fiddle with the microphone for 2 minutes. Yeah, and I'd actually done it one time before, just as a dare. Years ago, I did a whole set, 10-minute set. I didn't say a word. And the place was the laughter just kept getting bigger and bigger and rolling. And it got to the point where every time I did anything, it just made them laugh and giggle even more.
Right.
And the trick was not, as long as I didn't laugh, I had them.
That's amazing.
And I did one joke. Right at the end, I did one joke and walked off. Had them for 10 minutes. And I thought, and then occasionally I'll do this thing where I'll just stop in the middle of my set and say absolutely nothing. I mean, just stare at the audience for a minute.
I've seen it.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll acknowledge it. I'll say, like, I just wanted you to know what it's like to be up here. Or sometimes I just don't say anything at all. I'll just do my next joke.
Right.
And it just stuns the audience. And it's funny because in all the times I've ever done it, I never have anybody call out anything.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, hey, what's going on? Nobody says anything. They all just sit there silently like, is he having a stroke?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, what's going on here? Because
I know exactly what you mean. It's like when in the beginning and even still now, because I know everybody coming from Corona is gonna not you seasoned guys probably won't, but a lot of people are gonna suck. So and I know and I know we're all gonna have some hacky because I got some Corona shit I gotta get off my chest.
Yeah.
Because I know we're all gonna be talking about Corona. We all gonna be going crazy, bombing everywhere. Not everybody, but I don't. And man, me too. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I don't bomb that much. Okay, but. I tell you what I do and what I rely on when I go on stage, because I never had, and I used to say this to Marshall all the time, I never had a lot of confidence in my jokes. Like, I never had confidence in what I was writing, but I would have more confidence if you, like, helped me. Even though I wrote it, if you helped me with the joke, I would have more. I don't know why. It was just something that I never really.
Yeah, it's like you had to get confirmation.
Yeah.
From somebody else that you were doing.
But I'm not that kind of person in my everyday life. So it was conflicting with me that I was looking for that and not just going on stage and just like, fuck it. I mean, if they laugh, they laugh. Recently, I've been doing that. Fuck it. If they laugh, they laugh. And I feel myself being myself more. Like, I'm walking into that 6th, 7th year. And it's like, shit, when I am myself on stage and I'm not trying to be a comedian, like, it works for me better. And it's like, we want the structure in our jokes. We want our punchlines. We want our callbacks. We want all our little fucking build-ups and everything like that. But sometimes when you go off the script, like how you get up there and you do that kind of like, it's just like that Jim Carrey style of just and just doing all that, this extra little bitty shit. It you don't even gotta tell jokes no more. I've seen it. I've seen the Wayans brothers go up on stage and go like, yo, you know what, man? This water shit. And the whole crowd will go crazy, like, yo, that water shit. Like, yo, I've seen the A-list people, even the B-list people go up there and not really like put on their hardest comedy act, but they'll put on a show. And it'll be like, it's almost like you're watching a little mini sitcom up there. Like, I've seen a guy, he passed away. He was a good comedian. He did a whole show in a wheelchair. It was the best fucking comedy show I ever seen in my life. I can't remember his name. He went to the Funny Bone. I think I opened for him that night. I think Marshall gave me some time. And he did his set from a wheelchair. And it was like some of the best comedy I've ever seen in my life. He wasn't even like moving. He had a couple little rolling jokes. He came out to a song with rolling. What was it? I don't know. It was a song that had to do with like, I keep rolling on or something. I don't know. Like, but he had the whole gimmick and everything. It was just so great. And that day too, I was just like, yo, comedians, you don't even got to be a stand-up comedian. You could be a wheelchair comedian. It's just how you present those jokes and how you say them.
Yeah, well, it's if you look at study communications, only about a third of anything you communicate to anyone is through words.
Yeah.
It's everything else is part of it. And there's a lot of communication that goes on subconsciously.
Yeah.
And when you learn to make somebody laugh subconsciously,
game over, right?
It's over.
Yeah.
They completely, that whole critical factor where they're going, I don't know if I like this guy. I don't know if he's funny. Prove to me you're funny. Once you go beyond that, it's over.
Yeah.
They'll just laugh at everything because they can't stop themselves.
Right.
And the way you communicate with somebody subconsciously is through
body language, movement,
your tone of your voice,
physical comedy.
Everything. Yeah. And part of what shocks the audience, you can go up there and start yelling and screaming. and to try to shock them. My goal was to shock them by just not behaving like I was supposed to. And to be completely comfortable at not saying it, because most people would be scared to death to go up in front of a group of people and act like that.
Yeah.
And I'm up there doing it completely comfortable. And it just throws their mind. They don't know how to deal with it.
I don't know.
It's just really funny.
Yeah.
It's even funnier to them because it's like, I could never do this.
Yeah, I think Rob Santos was the first comedian that told me embrace the silence.
Yes.
Don't speed into your next joke. Like, let them laugh and then let them come down. Then go into your next joke. Because sometimes, and I do that too, like I'll have my joke and I'll say it, and you don't want that laughter to go away. Like, you don't want it to get quiet again. You want the laughter to keep going. So it's like, yeah, and then you just speed into your next thing. You don't really give them a chance to like, all right, bring them back, let them come back. All right, throw it back out there again. Like, I had to, like, every day when you see it work, like, okay, Rob is a good guy to do like the workshops and shit, because he'll tell you some shit and then he'll go and do it, and then he'll be like, did you see that? And I'm like, yeah, like I saw, like, you said you were gonna put the word there and it worked. Like, that's why I think his Each One Teach One and stuff is really taking off, because it's like, it's better when you get to see somebody do what they're telling you to do instead of them telling you to do something and then you're going out there and you're like, man.
No, he does. He does. Yeah, Rob Santos, if you check him out.
And Marlon Baker too, my guy Marlon Baker, and it's funny too because you want to know about who is Richie Starks, so it's so great that I can go
okay, yes.
Marlon Baker is the first comedian ever to put me on the show. It was called Count My Waves. It was in Rhode Island, and Marlon Baker's tire popped. So it was me and a amateur guy. The amateur guy went up there. He did like an extra 5. It was horrible. This was my first comedy show. I still got it on YouTube. I'm fucking scared shit because he goes up there and he sucked. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, I drove there, but I had friends and stuff coming down there meeting people. We all couldn't drive in the same car. So I'm going up. My friends aren't there yet. Like, I'm panicking and shit. I go up there. I had to end up doing like 15 minutes. I was only going to do like 5 or 10. I did a phenomenal job. Like, Marlon comes in and like they're laughing when he's coming in. He's like, yo, I was listening from the bar and you did good. So long story short, he pays me. He's like, you're a paid comedian now. You start asking for demanding some money when you get to work. Yeah, he knighted me that night. Thank you, Marlon, for knighting me that night. He knighted me, told me I was a paid comedian. This is where the Who is Richie Starks comes in. Okay, I have a friend, not going to say his government name, but he goes by, you might see me tag him sometimes. He goes by Richie Starks on Facebook. He came down to see my show, but at the same time, he had alternate plans to fornicate with some females. Oh. So he made it seem like he came to see my show, but he didn't. At the same time, right, someone had made a fake profile page about him, and it was like they were using his like pictures and stuff and trying to take his girls or whatever. So we were making a joke about it in the car, like, yo, that wasn't our friend. That was like Richie Starks. And he was like, was it Richie Starks or who was it really? So we kind of made a joke off of that, and I've been hashtagging it for so long, it's like turned into its own thing. Like, I kid you not. I went into the grocery store a couple weeks ago and I'm cashing out, and the kid's like, yeah. I'm just like, I'm like, yo, wait. And it's like, how do you even like know? And it's like locally, like when I'm like at home and stuff, people really do they try to like, yo, and I need to put it on a t-shirt. I really do. But people will like remember that hashtag. I don't it's grown and taken away.
It's funny because I remember when you started posting it. I'm going, is this like John Galt or something? Something I'm missing? And I even started researching. I started looking at Google. Who is this guy?
Right.
I couldn't find anything. So I was just like,
you go find it.
I was like, I gotta find out.
Right.
Now I know the secret.
Nah, yeah. It started with my friend because he had an ulterior motive. And what was worse was after the show, we were looking for him, and he just like disappeared in thin air. And we're like, yo, who was that really him? Who's Richie Starks? We're asking questions. And we're like, it probably wasn't him. It probably was the guy that made his fake profile. So it was really funny, and I've just been hashtagging it ever since. That was in like, damn.
It's been a while.
Yeah, that was in like, 2011, 2012. I've been hashtagging that thing. It's been a while. But shout out to Marlon Baker because it started with my first comedy show, which was Count My Waves, and it was in Rhode Island, and it was in this small bar. And I swear, I didn't think I was gonna have to do 15 minutes that night, and I did 15, and I was scared as shit. You should see how animated. Like I took my shirt off. I had no jokes. I had this horrible rock lobster joke from Family Guy. It sucked. Like, like I had no jokes. I was trying to remember everything from the top of my head. I had this story. Oh, one joke I had, right? At the time, I had a girlfriend at the time, and we were like having a falling out, and she had ended up playing me. I had turned that into a joke, and it was killer. I talked about how I went to the club, right? Let me tell you how it happened. So I'm gonna give it to you raw, not the joke, but you're gonna laugh anyways. 2:00 in the morning, I'm sleeping. Friends call me up. Hey, you and such still dating? I'm like, hell yeah, why? They're like, well, she's at the bar right now kissing on some guy. You should get your ass down here.
Ooh.
I get out of bed. Basketball shorts, shirt. I don't even think I brush my teeth. I get in the car, speed downtown Hartford. I get to the door. The security guard's there. He's big black dude. He's like, listen, guy, we're closing. I can't let you come in. Da, 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 da. I'm like, listen, man, look at how I'm dressed. I'm not going in the party. My brother needs these keys. I'm coming right out. He looks me up and down. He's like, go right in. I walk in. I see my friends over there at the bar area, whatever, at the top. They point over to where my girlfriend is cheating on me with this dude. So I walk on over. I like get in the middle of them before they like about to smooch. All right. She mushes my face. I like slap her hand down. I'm like, yo, don't put your hands on me, blah, 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 blah. So I introduce myself to the guy or whatever. I'm like, how long have you ever been talking? He's like, a couple weeks. I'm like, hey, you wonder you could keep her. Before I leave though, I had spat in my hand and I like mushed it in her face. So the joke was, on the joke I did, I commentated that situation like I was a WWE commentator. So I'm like, oh my God, he has to spit. It's like it's on YouTube. It was my first comedy show. I didn't have no jokes that day. It went flawlessly. Like people were adding me from Rhode Island. I thought I was the shit. I got paid probably like $80. Marlon gave me some. I was like, yo, I would never forget that day, but that was the day that hashtag was born, was that day.
That's funny.
That's some shit. And that's how that happened. Mel Quan, what up? Roy Aaron, what up, man? Oh, okay. Did the live cut out?
Oh, the power, we lost power.
Oh yeah. The phone dropped off.
Can sit it back up.
Hey man, you bring in a guy like me and you good, because I could talk for hours. I could talk for hours. Awesome. Yeah, you can't even watch it yet. We got 197 views, 9 likes, 12 comments. Not bad.
Cool.
Not bad. Oh man. The camera setup looks good though. Oh my God, what is kicking your ass over there?
Just old.
Oh man.
Do you know Brandon Belanger?
Brandon Belanger sounds very familiar. Why does that sound familiar?
He's a guy from Rhode Island.
Brandon Belanger.
He's an interesting fellow. All right, here we go.
Are we back?
You're back. We're back.
Oh, we back. All right. Yeah. So what? I don't know where we left off at.
Oh, you were talking about your.
Oh, that crazy story about who was Richie Starks in that first comedy show. Yeah. And ever since then, comedy's been great. The ups, the downs. No, yeah, that's where it came from. I know.
So, what do you think comedy is going to be like post-COVID?
I'm telling you right now, it's about okay, let me tell you something about comedy, which is crazy. 2019, I think CT Comedy was still doing open mics. It kind of had to be 2019, 2018. That year, I probably seen the biggest surge in open mics as far as comics and young comics and people coming out doing comedy that I've ever seen in the last literally 3-4 years that I've been doing this shit. And a lot of those comedians have gotten better, but it's going to be the same thing. I think you're going to get these people that aren't really seasoned, and they're going to come out, and it's like they're starting over from scratch. And a lot of them are already starting from scratch. And, I mean, you already got people that's getting mad putting up subliminals because they're not being on Zoom shows. So it's like, it's going to be real tough for some people. I think the ones that are, level-headed and know that this is not a sprint, but it's a marathon, are going to get right back to it. And I plan on being better. I know that. That's all I care about. Everybody else, y'all going to have to get it how y'all live. But no, I can't wait. I miss a lot of people. I miss a lot of venues and environments and shit. What do you think? What do you think? How do you think as an older comedian, what do you think is going to be difficult for like the young guys who probably they're like a year in now, and now they're feeling like, damn, like, I got to start over when they really never got started. But
yeah, well, it is because I it seems like everything that you did before, it all seems like it's getting erased because you tell jokes where you're like, oh, just the other day I was at. Well, it's like you can't.
Right.
It's going to change the way you deliver jokes.
Right.
Because you can't say, "Oh, I was just doing this," because it's like, no, you weren't. You were sitting at home. We were all sitting at home.
Right.
So it's going to change kind of the way your relationship with the audience is going to be different. I think it's going to be better with as far as the audience goes. Because one, I think the audience wants that interaction more because they miss it, as well as we miss it. So I think in that respect it's going to be good. But like you were saying, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people who have, they lost their job. They've been sitting around and they've decided, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to will it to happen, and they start meditating and they're going to be a next greatest comedian.
Right.
And those people are going to start showing up in droves.
Yeah.
Which is good because it's like, okay, at least it's nice to have more people at the open mic. Right.
We got an audience.
Yeah.
For the first
but at the same time, I think also a lot of places are going to go out of business, and so we're going to have less venues for a while. So it's going to be strange. I think if you're opportunistic, now's a good time to go and open something, start getting it in the works, and start promoting it. Because once all this drops, I think people are going to be hungry for live entertainment, and comedy's kind of perfect because it's something you can do with a smaller audience. With concerts, it's weird. It's going to be weird when a place where normally you have 20,000 people show up. Now only 5,000 people can show up, and you all got to keep 5 feet away from each other. That's going to be weird, but with comedy,
the comments going to be like, "Yo, you guys should be social distancing when they see you coughing."
Trust me, just because I'm old.
Right. Right. You know what?
I've had this cough since '92.
I got to
calm down,
Rodney. I got to respect you because I've had females that I've been meeting up with during COVID, and they all been like, "Are you sure you don't have COVID?" But you were like, "Hey, just come on over and let's do a podcast." Like females have been hitting me up like, all right, like you haven't been around anybody else, like you don't have COVID. I'm like, no, I don't have no COVID. But Rodney's like, yo, let's do this podcast. Come on over. Like, you got to respect that. But nah, you know how people. That was the funny thing about COVID too. When it popped off, like everyone that wasn't trying to cough on TV, it was one person who he was just like, just like really holding it. And Steph Curry too. They were asking Steph Curry about how did he feel about playing with no fans, and he's just like, yeah, no, I think playing with no fans would be all right. He's like not trying to cough. I'm like, yo, Steph, good save there. Not trying to get that cough out. But I mean, you know how people are gonna poke fun, say shit.
Yeah. Well, and it's just kind of in our psyche. That's the weird thing with comedy and everything. Is just how our relationships are going to change in that we got to keep our distance.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the people that you don't keep your distance, those are the ones you know are your real.
Hey, right.
You know what I mean?
Right. You know their ins and outs more than the next
it's
person.
like, okay, if I'm gonna,
that's how it is, man. I mean, hopefully, they're saying it's like later on in the year that it's gonna come back. Hopefully, it doesn't get to the point where.
Well, that's what one thing I think positive might come out of all the riots is that it was funny because a week ago they were saying all these people that were getting out and protesting wanted to open up. Oh, they're taking their lives in their own hands and they're making it worse for everybody else because they're protesting and they're out there spreading the disease and blah, 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 all that nonsense. Now, all of a sudden, these riots are going on. Nobody cares about any of the COVID thing. And it's like, okay, maybe the good thing is that we're just sort of going, okay, let's all agree that this was all blown out of proportion.
Right. We could all say that much. I mean, if you're not saying that right now.
Hey, you know what? Don't cough on people and wash your hands.
Right.
Let's go on with life.
Common things we should be doing on the normal day.
Should have been doing it anyway.
Anyways, right. The wash your hand thing. I mean, Perel probably made so much money during this shit. It's not even funny. I would love to see how much they made. Shit, they probably up there with Jeff Bezos right now, trillions. Who knows?
Well, yeah, it's funny. I remember when hand sanitizer came out. This is how old I am. And the debate was that if you, in fact, the doctors were warning, saying you should only use it occasionally, only use it when hot soapy water is not available. But don't become dependent on it, because if you overuse it too much, basically you kill the bacteria that you need to have that bacteria, so your body can get antibodies to destroy that bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're using it too much, you can actually make yourself worse because you're over sanitizing. And over sanitizing is actually worse because you're not building up the antibodies and you're destroying your own immune system. And it was just this huge debate about whether or not we should use hand sanitizers at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's like, oh, it's going to save your life, it's like, no, I still think it applies that you should.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like all the common sense things that we knew about bacteria and about viruses, we just threw it all out the window and said, no, we have to do it this way now. And it's like, but you told us before, there's herd immunity, and with the younger people, when they get it, they build up immunities, and they lessen the disease. And so when it actually gets passed on from them to somebody who is worse, it's actually a less effective, and all these things. But we've taken all that we knew before, and just, okay, that doesn't count now. And it's like, made no sense at all.
No.
And then when you question it, going, well, you just don't believe in science. It's like, no, I believe in science. I think you're the one who's changing it.
Right.
I mean,
I forgot what not to cut you off. Dr. Fauci and the CDC was saying, was it vitamin C? Vitamin C was not a probable cure or substance to be taken to try to rid yourself of it. Was it vitamin C or was it D? And then
Probably both.
And then it was like chloroquine or something else. Another hydro. Yeah, they were saying these are like the cleanest methods used right now to help us, if anything, with that kind of stuff. And they were trying to tell you to not use it. I feel like that was real.
The hydrochloroquine thing is the weirdest thing to me because, one, it's been a drug that has been used since the 50s.
Yeah.
For malaria and other stuff. It's a very safe drug. In fact, a lot of reports are saying that it's actually safer than aspirin. Then all of a sudden, you're all going to die if you take it. No!
Yeah.
Trump is an idiot.
Right.
It's like the funniest thing to me.
See, he done use the rest of his voice screaming like that. He should use your voice over there.
Well, and this is something the media's completely got dropped.
Right.
Was the first time he came out and he touted it, he said, look, and I had heard of it before because I believe it was Italy was saying, hey, look, we're finding that we're treating patients with this drug and that they're recovering faster. And, it's allowing the body, it's helping the body absorb zinc faster. Mm-hmm. And the zinc is helping the body defeat the virus. Very simple. So he gets this information. So he's just saying, hey, look, and he's not saying, hey, everybody go out and find it and start taking it. He just said, we've because he's getting told all this stuff about these people, and they're saying, look, this drug looks promising. So he's just saying, hey, look, he has no filter. That's good, bad, or otherwise. Yeah. He has no filter.
No, he doesn't.
So he's just saying, hey, yeah, these guys were just telling me this thing works out pretty good, so that's promising. And so, like 2 days later, you hear about that couple that took fish cleaner because it contains that drug. And so this couple takes it, the husband dies, and she comes out and all the news reports, and they start interviewing her. And she's like, I trusted Trump, and we thought we were doing the right thing to keep ourselves safe, and my husband died, and I just want to say nobody should trust Trump for anything. He should probably resign. He's a horrible president, and because he's killed my husband.
Oh, wow.
And all these reports are going, he's saying horrible things and people are dying. Well, as the story plays out, turns out that woman was an anti-Trump person, campaigned for Hillary Clinton.
Wow.
Completely hated Trump. And there's now a criminal investigation into the whole thing because they believe that she used the opportunity to kill her husband with fish cleaner and wanted to blame it on Trump because she had tried to kill him before.
On some Carol Baskin shit.
Yeah. And so it turns out, it kind of falls apart. The whole story falls apart.
Right.
And so the media just dropped it.
Yeah.
At first it was like, oh, Trump killed somebody. Oh. And then it's like, oh, she killed her husband and used this as an excuse. Because he was like an engineer. He had advanced degrees.
Oh, probably had money and all that.
This is not somebody who's going to go and drink fish tank cleaner
right.
because the president mentioned it.
On
you know
TV.
What I mean? It's just stupid.
Stupid.
It was just like dumb.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's where I think that the media has missed the point about how they treat Trump.
Right.
Because the more ridiculous they try to make him look, people that like him even more. Because then he's a troll.
Right. He is a troll.
And he says things to just piss them off.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's so easy. And what he's been doing is he's just playing the media. He knows he can manipulate them to get them to focus on one thing. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, he's doing all this other stuff.
Right.
I mean, all the things that he had accomplished to get the economy and everything going, the prison reform and all these things that he's done that are incredible things they completely ignored. And he's been able to actually get them done because they're over here pissed off because he misspilled coffee. You know what I mean? I mean, that thing lasted for 2 weeks?
Yeah. Right. That was kind of ridiculous.
And
That's
it
gotta
was
be
just,
ridiculous.
and all he had a typo in there. Oh, you should be, he's going crazy. It's like, yeah, because nobody's ever mistyped something.
Right.
I think it's funny that just the fact that we have a president who tweets every thought he has all day long.
Right.
That's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, you have no idea what they're thinking about anything. All of a sudden, you have to wait for 2 weeks for a press conference. It's not even coming from him; it's coming from his press secretary. So you're never really quite sure where he stands on anything.
Right.
But with Trump, boy, he's just an open book all the time.
Yeah, all day.
And whether you like it, dislike it, agree with him, disagree with him, you always know where he's at in his head.
Yeah. He's
going
to tell you. Yeah, he's going to let you know.
And it's kind of refreshing. And
Yeah.
that's what, when he was running, I kept telling everybody. Everybody I knew said that there's no way he's going to win, and I said he is going to win. He's going to win big.
Hi, Jeannie. Am I saying that right? She says, "Who is that handsome dude with you?"
Oh, Jeannie Purdue.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to tell you about Jeannie.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, if you find Jeannie. She's in Carson City, Nevada. I think
Okay.
she's living in there. She might be living up in Tahoe now. But there's a Carson Comedy Club. I got to try to get you in this.
Right. Okay.
It's an old, basically, it's the casinos that I remember when I was a kid that we used to walk. My mom and dad would have us walk through to go to the buffets on the weekend. I lived in Nevada for about a year when I was a kid, and the best place to go eat was the buffets at the casinos.
Right.
And this is like an old 70s style casino.
Okay.
It's from that era. But they have this comedy club in there. It's a Friday, Saturday night. They do one show. And at these shows, Jeannie Purdue is at every single show. She's at both shows every weekend. She sits dead center and she laughs at everything. I mean, God bless her.
Right.
She is she's a doll.
Right.
And she's at every show. She loves every comic. She gets pictures with every comic.
That's
she
what's
keeps
up.
in touch with them. And she's had some personal issues lately with her health and some housing issues. But hello, Jeannie, love you.
Hi.
She's got. I need to interview her one day.
Yeah.
She was in a whole bunch of movies back in the day, back in Las Vegas.
No, really.
Like Casino. She was in that movie.
That sounds very familiar. Casino.
Yeah, so it's kind of an old gangster kind of movie, if you ever look it up. But she's just somebody in the background. But she made money just being a background player in movies.
Yeah.
That were always whatever got filmed in Vegas. So she's fascinating. She's a very funny, interesting person.
Right.
I got her to go up on stage and do comedy. She always had a dream to be a comedian. And so at one of my shows, I brought her on stage and let her do a joke. So that was fun.
That's what's up. That's how you make the fans.
Yeah.
Oh, Ronnie's such a nice guy. Oh man. Do we have anything else we going in on? Because I was probably gonna skip that. But we should do this again.
We should do this.
We should do this again. Yeah. We should definitely do this.
Let's see. I'm going to Utah on Monday.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure when I'll be back. But when I get back, we'll do, or we can do a Zoom one.
That'd be interesting.
Have you done?
I haven't been on Zoom. I heard Zoom was with the espionage too.
Probably is. We just shouldn't talk about the CIA.
I don't know. Hey, Darren, listen, you dealing with me. I've already got to be on their list because I went crazy with all those facts yesterday. I'm just like, what? Like, I was going crazy with all that.
I'm kind of like, I've always had just a very curious mind about that kind of stuff. And I'm sort of prone already to disagree with whatever the government is saying because I've worked for the government.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I know what they're worked for the government.
So I'm like, I've seen things,
right?
And because I used to, before I joined the Marine Corps, I used to read Newsweek and Time magazine like religious, like every week. Yeah. Every time they came out, I had a subscription to both of them. all through high school. First year of college, I was in debate, so I was just loved government, loved the current affairs. I was in everything. And then when I joined the Marine Corps and I got to learn and see things from that side of the perspective, it was like, okay, we're being lied to constantly in the media, to the point where I don't go to the media to get the news. I go to the media to find out what they want me to think, because most likely, whatever that is, the opposite is true.
Right.
And most of the time, I'm right.
Yeah.
So many facts and that's the thing that drives me nuts. If you want to have a conversation with somebody about stats and statistics, it's like 90% of this crap is just made up.
Mm-hmm.
It's paid for specifically for a specific result, and so you have to go in and really take it apart to really understand it. And then when you start doing that to people in a conversation, their eyes gloss over. And go,
it makes it hard for you.
It's just easier to listen to what CNN is.
Yeah, right, exactly. It makes it hard for you to communicate with people in your everyday life with these. When you're presented with this evidence, it's like, first of all, you want to tell somebody. It's like, how do you not know? How do you not know? It's like, okay, someone needs to hear this. And then it's like, sometimes the first person you present it to is like, all right, I kind of wish I didn't tell you. Like, I wish I told somebody else, like, who's gonna take it in, like, not everything I say and run with it, but take it in and kind of resonate with you, like, oh shit, like, that kind of is making a little light bulb switch go on in my brain, like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, why would they have did this or did that? Or so, I've always, like I told you, I've always been that kind of person too, to where I just once my mind locks onto that, it's like I was up until 4 a.m. and I seen a post and it just looked off to me. I'm like, let me just go and research this shit. And I went researching. Next thing you know, you just
go down
that rabbit hole. Yeah, I was just in it for like 2 hours, and I ended up finding myself in the internet's version of the protest with Minnesota. Like, the Minnesota people are tweeting as they're protesting. So I don't use Twitter. I don't know how Twitter works, but I guess you get on these threads and you can see the replies of everyone that's all right. So like, I'm on the thread and they're like, literally as I'm on the thread, people are uploading videos, people are putting pictures, and you're seeing this stuff just unfold right there, like every minute.
And
I'm
it's stuff that they're not talking about on the news
at all.
And it's like some of them are like, most of the people causing the problems aren't even from
there. Yeah.
These are people, we don't know who these people are. They're coming into our neighborhood and tearing everything up.
Yeah, causing arson and all types of stuff.
That's something that's being ignored.
Yeah.
But the whole. Have you got into watching the video of the actual event?
Yeah, I did watch it. Like,
weird...
yeah. It is a lot of weird, like, angles and everything. Almost like someone knew. It seems like
it's a total setup. I mean, if you watch other videos of cops having a confrontation, there's always a lot of yelling and screaming. The cops are always saying, hey, quit recording, because they don't want you to record out of respect for the person who's being arrested.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of what they're doing, is that they're trying to protect their privacy, because they're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
So they're trained to, when they're trying to keep you from videotaping something, it's not because they're trying to keep
like
you
hide
from
something or anything.
Hide something. It's because they're trying to protect
this man's privacy. Yeah.
And yet here they are. That one cop, he's almost like encouraging, like, you got a good angle?
Yeah.
How do I look?
Right.
Meanwhile, the other cops aren't talking at all, and the one dude's just like, I mean, it's not like he's like trying to hide or anything. He's like staring right at the camera.
Right at the camera. Yeah.
Come on,
yeah, right. Looking really boldly too. Like, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna say anything.
Are you getting this?
Then he tried to take the mace out and, like, mace him.
Yeah, they say, hey, you can move along. That's usually what they do when you show up on a police scene and you start watching. A lot of times they just say, hey, look, this is nothing that concerns you. Just keep going.
Right.
Just leave us alone. I've been there. I've seen what, and it's just weird, because it's like, and it goes on for 8 minutes and no one's saying anything except for the one guy going, hey guys, don't do drugs. Right. No
one.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going, this is a setup.
Yeah.
This is.
It It was bad, man. I just watching that video, I didn't even really want to see it, but a lot of stuff just didn't make sense. And then like
it's aggravating.
People, yeah, it was aggravating. And then people were breaking down the video in such like detail, like to the license plate, to like he not even having a name tag on to their badges.
His badge is different than the
other guy's badge.
He doesn't have a name tag, but one of the others does. The other two officers that were on the behind the car were not the two officers that
arrested him.
Started him.
Yeah.
And then and if you look, there's a police car on one of the other videos earlier that shows the license plate, and it's a regular looking license plate. It doesn't say police.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden that one says police, and it's very clear. It's like perfectly framed to get that.
Right in there, right in that angle. Yeah, it's like crazy. Like they almost like they wanted you to see that.
Yeah, and there's if you go back and watch the video where they arrest him across the street, right? And he's sitting there, and they've got him handcuffed. A couple officers are talking to him, and then there's a cop car that comes up, and then it takes off. Instead of putting him in that car, they decide they're going to walk across the street
and put him in.
Doesn't make any sense. Usually, they want the cop car as close to the person so they have less confrontation.
Right.
All of a sudden, that guy leaves. They could have put him in that car.
Yeah.
But instead, or even brought the other car over, put him in, which is normal procedure.
Right.
Instead, they walk him across the street. You know, it's like, hey, hello, buddy. He's not resisting at all.
No.
But as they go to walk across the street, there's somebody, if you look up at the back end of the car that they're headed to, there's a lady standing there behind the car. And then when she kind of looks up and looks over, and it's kind of like, oh, I'm not in place. And she runs out off screen. She runs over behind the thing. And then as they come up, and he falls down, and then
I gotta go look.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the whole thing.
She runs off. And then if you watch others where they're videotaping from the other side, they're videotaping the people who are videotaping.
Yeah.
She's one of those people videotaping.
Yeah. Wow.
Videoing it with her camera.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, it was almost like she was in position. She's just sort of like, I'm sorry. Oh, it's like, oh, back to one,
crisis.
Get over here. And then all of a sudden she's, hey, get off him.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing.
The whole thing is really weird. Yeah, it's really weird, that whole situation.
And then they started pushing the whole racist thing, and it's like, drives me. I don't know. Are you tired of the whole?
I'm not. It's just. I don't want the.
Well, you're in a tenuous position,
right?
Because one, I'm sure you have seen racism in your life. You've probably seen people who maybe not necessarily are going to lynch you and hang
right. Only on Xbox with that,
which is just idiot kids. But in your normal life, and this is one thing I've always pointed out. I said, sometimes people don't like you, not because of the color of skin. Maybe you're just an ass.
Right.
That could be.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the color of your skin, but you're just an ass.
Right.
But they always go back to that and they play on that. And
I've never directly can say that I've experienced. I never directly had someone do something racist to me, but maybe indirectly I've had it happen.
So more of like ignorance.
Yeah,
it's not really blatant racism.
Yeah, I've never had no one blatantly do a racist act to it. So I can't. It's still to this day. I'm blessed I have, but I don't think I'm the right person to ask because I don't know how that feels. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know what it feels like to retaliate. Do I want to retaliate? Like I never really experienced that, and I feel like a lot of people they're in my shoes too, but they just like I said, they don't know the knowledge or have the whereabout to like kind of like comprehend like this person's just really in their lower self. They're trying to incite like anger.
Yeah, it gets frustrating.
Yeah, and that goes for news and everything. Like I don't tune into the news. I don't watch CNN and all that stuff because I feel like all that stuff is just trying to like fear.
Like I said, the only reason I watch it is to figure out what it is that what do they want me to think.
Right.
So I can go, okay, what's the opposite?
Was that quote you wrote the other day? And I was like, who wrote that? You was like, me.
Oh, yeah. It was funny because when you posted that, the thought just popped into my head was, yeah, if you convince a man with facts, he'll agree with you.
Yeah.
But if you convince a man with emotion,
He'll follow you. Yeah, yeah.
And that's what, if you look at most news stories, it's all about emotion.
Mm-hmm.
They're always hitting an emotional thing. If you don't do this, you're a horrible person. Everybody's going to die. If you don't wear a face mask, grandma's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe this about this story, then you're a racist.
Right.
I mean, it's always pushing that narrative. It's always emotion. It's not the facts of the whole thing, and it's
frustrating. It is.
So yeah, that idea came to me, and then Mo Green tagged us. What was it? He said, "If you convince a man with with facts and emotion, he'll worship you." I was like, "Oh, that's a good escalation."
Yeah. I like that. That was a nice ad there. Facts and emotion. He'll worship you. Word like a god almost. Something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll do this again.
No, we have to. We have to. This is dope. I don't even know if I needed to have these on the whole time. It just fits the description of, because like I said, I like to be on that Joe Rogan kind of like, that's a podcast that I watch a lot. I don't watch too many, but Joe Rogan is one of my favorite podcast people out there right now. Like, pretty good, but we can do this again. It ain't nothing,
We'll do.
Yeah.
And
let everybody see us shaking hand. Rodney Norman, this is my guy right here. We all need to come together, black and white, and figure something out and stand with each other. And this is good that we're on here trying to once we find a real concept to grasp on a day out.
Right now, our concept is, hey, I'm not doing anything. Want to come over?
Right. That's a good thing to meet on. That's a good thing to meet on.
Like when you're a kid and on a play day, hey, can Brandon come over to play?
Right.
That's basically what it. This was the adult version of playtime.
Right. I'm glad you invited me over and you ain't have to stick no swab up my nose or anything like that.
Yeah.
That'd have been horrible.
You bet.
We had a lot of viewers though. I'm really excited. That's dope. I can't wait to get
cool.
this.
So you're out there. If you have suggestions, things you want to talk about, let us know.
Yeah.
We had fun. We'll do this again. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining in. Yeah, that was dope.
Forgot how to turn it off.
6:15. My phone's on 13%. So that's like, yo. I mean, I brought my charger. I should have been
Oh.
Let me see if I could. Oh, bruh. Woo. Yeah, that was good stuff.